Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, my name is Mayank Sharma, and today I'm going to talk about shrimp industry review from Indian shrimp industry perspective. So I am director technical at my own company, Mayank Aquaculture Private Limited, and our company primarily looks into shrimp farming. And so I would like to first inform about my background. My background is that I am a biotechnologist and I am a graduate in biotechnology, bioprocessing, and business management from the UK. And I am very passionate about product development and aquaculture and disease management. And I also have a very profound interest in food processing. So about my company, so Mayank Aquaculture Private Limited, our company is in the shrimp farming landscape since more than 18 years now, and our company produces premium export quality shrimps close to 1,000 tons. And our founder, Dr. Manoj Sharma, who is himself a farmer as well as a founder, is a national award winner by National Fisheries Development Board, Government of India, and he has recently won the most prestigious World Aquaculture Society award for industry impact, as his contributions helped in creating livelihood opportunities for more than 100,000 individuals in Gujarat. So our company has a core fundamentals of operating on satellite farming concept, where our company is also associated with a group of farmers where we provide them seed, feed, medicines, and technicality to produce shrimps with ease. So, why aquaculture is a very trending topic amongst entire world, and why aquaculture is very crucial? Because number one, for the growing population, we need food. There is a good stagnant global demand. Sorry, there is a very good stable demand for and increasing demand for the seafood, and especially looking into malnutrition in developing and underdeveloped nations. Aquaculture, fishes and shrimps, they provide a very vital source of nutrients and protein. And also after COVID-19 pandemic, there has been a huge awareness regarding health and nutritional perspective. So this is where seafood particularly has been getting more and more increasing demand. So talking about Indian aquaculture, so this is just a general outlay of the underutilized resources for India, which aquaculture has. For example, let's say consider brackish water land, that is approx 12 lakh hectares of brackish water land is available to pursue shrimp farming, because I am from shrimp industry. So it's just an highlight, an example I'm giving you that, this is how much still there are a lot of resources we need to utilize and increase our shrimp production. So talking about the Indian perspective, first, India is one of the largest shrimp exporter and producer in the world, and the foreign exchange is largely dependent on shrimp production and export. Then we have a shrimp farming area of approximately 150,000 hectares, out of which India's per hectare productivity is about 5,000 kgs per hectare. And 90% of the shrimp farmers in India are small scaled, and they operate about or under 5 hectares of land. So primarily, there are two species which are cultured in India at commercial levels. So number one is Lithopenes venami, or you can call it Pacific white shrimp. And then you have the Peneus monodon, which is black tiger. So these two species are quite prevalent and dominant into the market space, in India, and out of which actually majority of the production uh, is for Lithopenes venami. So monodon is having its fair share, a very niche market, but largely produced species is Lithopenes venami. So this is just a general outlay of shrimp farming scenario in India, that which states and what are the proportion of states carrying out shrimp farming. So majority of the shrimp farming, if you say, is concentrated in east of India, and in which Andhra Pradesh takes the a major share of the shrimp farming and the shrimp production. So and then this is just an approximate general idea to give the spectators an understanding about how the shrimp market works, as it's a largely export-oriented product. So number one is that United States is the major market for Indian shrimp produce, then followed by China, Europe, Middle East, Japan, some regions in Southeast Asia, and there are others. So I would just like to give a brief understanding about the aquaculture supply chain. This is an general outlay of how the aquaculture supply chain works. So number one, we have a farmer who is a producer, and then you have uh, feed from the feed manufacturers. Then you have seed, the shrimp babies, which you stock inside the ponds, which are called post larvae. So they are produced by hatcheries. And then you have different dealers who provides this inputs to the farmers, or sometimes if a farmer is a large scale farmer, he can directly request the feed and the hatchery to provide them with the necessary quantity of inputs. And then after that, when the shrimp is produced, it's passed on to the processing, as you can see on the top end of export oriented supply chain. And after that, the produced shrimp is exported and went and there, for example, let's say the shrimp is exported to US. So from US, the necessary buyers and the distributors there, it's their job to make the shrimps available to the consumers. While the domestic chain, it's about the same at the production level, but after that, the shrimp goes to the wholesale markets or the open seafood markets. Like one of the examples would be Crawford and Colaba market in the West. And then you have different vendors for that. And then consumer, it's an open market for the local buyers and consumers, and they come and then they purchase the shrimps. So what are the aquaculture industry requirements? As I told you, from shrimp farming perspective, I would say number one is feed and seed, which I have already mentioned. Then it's a healthcare product like probiotics, minerals, herbal extracts, organic acids, and all sorts of products which will provide good bioremediation and good shrimp health. Because better the shrimp health, better will be the shrimp produce for the farmers. And then you also need infrastructure development, like making the ponds. You need energy in the form of fuel and electricity. And you need technical expertise to grow the shrimp. So with necessary expertise, your job becomes much easier and convenient to carry on the shrimp culture. For example, let's say average shrimp crop is about minimum, an average should be about 4 months. So in that 4 months, you need to have all the necessary technical expertise to carry out shrimp farming. Then shrimp goes to the processing. Processing is nothing but you can name it as a packing center where different grades and requirement of shrimps are packed accordingly and then catered to the export buyers. Import buyers. So all these requirements across the supply chain, it itself creates a big opportunity for any aspiring entrepreneurs who are watching this video. So highlights of shrimp farming development. So basically shrimp farming, no doubt, is a huge foreign revenue earner, which we get through exports. But more importantly, it's also converting a wasteland to a best productive land. For example, in my region from where I am, from Gujarat. So the salt affected wastelands in my region where you cannot carry out any agricultural activities. It's very convenient and it's very easy for the coastal rural fishermen to adapt to this mode of culture practice and create food and profits for them. It's also generating self-employment opportunities for the coastal rural fishers. And also more importantly, wherever you see the shrimp farming development, there has been development of ancillary businesses like suppliers of feed seed medicines or a general provisional store, supply of electricity to the nearby village area. And also it's a labor intensive employment. So generally a hectare of land easily provides employment opportunities to 10 to 15 individuals, or let's say even 10 individuals at most, which is still a very huge employment. And it also supports food and safety through aquaculture. So this is just one of the examples. I just want to show you the profound impact of shrimp farming. So as you can see in the figure, like if you can see my mouse cursor, so this is just the creek where nearby shrimp farms are concentrated. So this patch is a shrimp farm near Dumas area in 2009. But now when you see in 2018, you can see that lots and thousands of shrimp ponds are constructed across this creek area, which itself shows that once you create success, replicating that success becomes much and much easier. So this is how, as I explained you, the ancillary business model which is created across wherever shrimp farming is developed. So you can see the person getting tractor work, the person taking a small tempo truck to deliver inputs to shrimp farms. Then you have engineerings to take care of the motors. Then you have a general retail or provisional store where eating foods and all those things are provided to the shrimp farmers nearby that area or the village. So this is how a beautiful satellite concept is created across wherever shrimp farming is developed. So you can see this is how labor gets intensive employment through making the ponds, supplying fresh waters, or taking care of harvesting work. So all these places also creates an employment opportunities for the local community residing near the shrimp ponds. So now talking about the resources and opportunities for youth. So in particular, youth can definitely, as I mentioned you earlier, there are many ways in which youth can look into uh, becoming an aspiring individual in the aquaculture industry. It's not only about entering into shrimp farming, but you can also, like what I did, I entered into the biotechnology industry where because I was very passionate about shrimp health and bioremediation. So this is where gaining important knowledge about probiotics or necessary feed formulations or supplements that can help shrimp, that can help my company to grow. So this is where I had pursued biotechnology. So the spectators listening to me today, you can also opt for biotechnology and bring a change into shrimp health and management and also disease diagnostics. Because one of the shrimp diseases, like for example, white spot disease, it's one of the very damaging diseases to the shrimps. So with biotechnological interventions, as this disease creates $1 billion of losses to the shrimp industry. So if any one of you find a good solution for that in the coming future with a proper dedication, you can bring a change among the industry and also make a good fortune for yourself. And then you can also become a technical expert. As I told you, you can become a good technical person in shrimp ponds. You can become technical experts in shrimp PL, post larvae generation, shrimp seed. You can become a very good nutritionist, making good feed formulations that are very sustainable for the shrimp industry. You can also become traders and distributors. So if a farmer is lacking the necessary finance, you can also give that finance to the farmers, and you can provide that necessary inputs to farmer to carry out their own culture. And also you can be make your own company into shrimp farming or shrimp industry. And you can also be a startup, like you can also look into digitization, making good applications of database management for farmers. Or not only that, but you can also make your own startups for each and every aspect of value chain. Either it can be a domestic retail chain of startup, it can be a technical startup providing technical expertise and guidance to the farmers, or it can be your own shrimp farming company. So this is a general understanding of the job opportunities which are available in the shrimp farming industry. So as there is a requirement in shrimp farming, there is a requirement in shrimp hatcheries, feed company, processing plants, aqua laboratories, healthcare segments, and in the export landscape. So you can easily see that in the total job opportunities in this sector is easily close to 12,000 for and aspiring individuals. So after this, my another topic of interest would be talking about the domestic market potential which India has. So as India has a population of 1.4 billion, and out of 806 districts, we have 66 coastal districts. So even if you eliminate those 66 coastal districts, you are still left with a sizable share of untapped districts where 50% of the population still, or the districts, 50% of the districts still, they don't know what are shrimps. So it's about creating awareness about the shrimps. And even if 50% of the population in our nation who consumes seafood, they or non-vegetarian food, they can be introduced with shrimp as one of the alternatives to their diet. So with this, for example, even in our country where 150 lakh tons of fish is easily consumed, then consuming 10 lakh tons of shrimp should not be a problem. But what impact domestic market creates on the industry is that the farmers becomes much more self-reliant, the industry becomes very stable as our over dependency on the exports reduced, which in turn will also motivate farmers to produce more. And this way, the industry will have an insured and a guaranteed way of growing. So for this, cumulative efforts uh, are required from the industry landscape, but also to the aspiring individuals into the shrimp farming industry. I would definitely request you guys, and I would also suggest you guys to definitely look into this aspect of shrimp domestic market. So I would like to talk about my one of my other ventures of our company, that is Jingalala. So Jingalala has a simple core target of popularizing the idea of shrimp consumption. And this we want to achieve not only by giving a frozen or shrimps to the consumers, but we would like to create a culinary experience for our individuals. And like this, Jingalala was incepted in 2019. And today, proudly, we are one of the most unique pesco vegetarian restaurants that are serving farm fresh shrimps. And our concept is called From Our Pond to Your Plate. So entire produce is completely traceable. So we are farmers, the shrimps, there is a restaurant, and then they are consumers. So this is an entirely integrated value chain. So these are just some pictures of the restaurant, some of the dishes I would like to show. This is one of our retail segments called Jingalala Fresh, where we uh, cater the frozen packets, and we have our own distribution channels and distribution partners through which we make this farm produce shrimps reach out to the consumers. So you can see that, any aspiring individual, you can also enter into the distribution segment of shrimp as a food commodity. And you can keep certain 8 to 10% of the profits for yourself. And you can carry forward the shrimp trade to the necessary retailers. Or you yourself can become a big distributor in your own area and, cater shrimps to the nearby consumers. So food for thought. India has it's been thought, or it's been believed to certain contexts that we lack the cold chain supply or supply logistics. But if milk and ice cream is one of the very good examples, because anywhere, even from cities to, like, for tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, even in tier 3 and 4 cities we find ice creams. So it's highly possible that in the same cold chain logistics and infrastructure, it's possible that even frozen shrimps can be incorporated. Or if not, India traditionally has a huge scope of fresh market. So even in the nearby regions where shrimps are produced, fresh harvested shrimps can easily be sold. So when costliest fishes in India are sold from 800 to 2000 INR per kilo, and if meats like lamb meat can be sold in the range of about, let's say, 800 rupees, then why not shrimp ranging from 350 to 750 INR can be sold in our country? And one should really think about that. So, one of the famous cricketers and coach, Mr. John Wright, sir, has also visited our restaurant, Jingalala. The famous Indian cricketer and coach, Mr. Kiran Murray, and also to your left in the black t-shirt, you can see the famous Indian cricketer Ishan Kishan has also visited Jingalala. So now, before concluding my talk, I would like to talk about the supporting government bodies and the nodal agencies that support and also govern the shrimp industry. So out of that, number one is the Coastal Aquaculture Authority. Then you have Department of Fisheries, Government of India. Then you have National Fisheries Development Board. Then you have Marine Product Export Development Authority that looks after export promotion. Then you have Indian Council of Agricultural Research, into which you all the universities and necessary technical and technological aspects of research development, all those things are carried out. Same way in Central Institute of Brackish-water Aquaculture and Central Institute of Freshwater Aquaculture, the same things are carried out. Now, the most important part for the aspiring entrepreneurs is that you can visit a National Fisheries Development Board website or Department of Fisheries website and try to understand the benefits which government is providing to such aspiring individuals. Uh, also, now there are two main schemes currently which you can also study and learn on the websites. That is Fisheries Infrastructure Development Fund, that is FIDF, which recently government has also announced a very sizable share of 20,000 crores. And then you have Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana. In that, uh, you also have a sub scheme now, which is Pradhan Mantri Matsya Krishi Saha Yojana. So this is for improving the fish and fisheries product value chain across India. So all these schemes and benefits are basically, made for the benefit of the industry, and also for increasing the shrimp production, increasing the employment opportunities for the individuals, or also providing a good business ecosystem for the entrepreneurs to carry out shrimp farming or any aquaculture activity. So, talking about the Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana objectives, it is independent India's first dedicated yojana for the development of fisheries industry in India. For development, for doubling the production, doubling the exports, and doubling the farmers' income. So the core fundamentals of this yojana is to do that for the benefit of aquaculture industry. And this is the general outlay of the yojana from the central share, state share, and what the beneficiary share is happening. And this is also one of the explanation for the fishery sector, because the government plans to doubling the exports and doubling the revenue of the farmers, and also doubling the total amount of exports from the country. So this is where all these yojanas or schemes are bringing a change amongst the life of the fishermen, amongst the life of the aspiring entrepreneurs, aspiring individuals in the aquaculture industry. So with this, I would like to conclude my talk. And at last, I would definitely like to say that to all the spectators listening here, and especially the young individuals, if there are any, that aquaculture, including shrimp farming, has a huge potential to bring a change, not only in terms of economical change, but it is also bringing a social change amongst the many coastal rural fishermen and many rural areas where this industry has been made. So in turn, it is also generating food and profit for the entire individuals associated with this activity. So with this, I would like to conclude my talk, and I thank you for giving this opportunity to me, and I am open to any questions which you have. Thank you. Rajni ma'am, I am done with my talk.
Yeah. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
Okay. So, thank you for the presentation. I'll now take up some questions. What are the current trends in India's shrimp export market?
Yeah, we have been doing very good with the exports, ma'am, because we are producing about close to 1 million tons of shrimp, and the industry is also in a very positive trend with these new yojanas and schemes, as I have mentioned you earlier. So the next target of the government support and also the industry is how we can double the production, which in turn can benefit and contribute to the industry. And as I mentioned earlier, even if you might have seen the news channels and the updates, you can easily see that uh, uh, the shrimp industry, or not even the entire aquaculture industry, is in the mainstream, and the government is trying its best to provide the benefits, like reducing the import duty on shrimp feeds, certain supplements, making tax exempts on certain products. So there are many benefits which a government is providing for the industry, which in turn the industry can capitalize and keep growing. So the future is very bright for shrimp industry. That's all I can say.
Okay. How has the Indian shrimp industry evolved in the last decade?
Uh, as far as I know, ma'am, with the discussions with my father, who is a very strong veteran and he vouches for the shrimp industry. In 10 last decades, or if you say 10 years, shrimp industry has evolved in terms of culture practices, in terms of very good shrimp feed, in terms of nutritionally, and in terms of like technically, I would this all are technical terms. Like in terms of hatchery, you can say we are with more 10 or 11 different genetic lines. For example, shrimps having SPF status, that is specific pathogen free status. Then you have resistant shrimp broodstocks to particular diseases. Then you have all pathogen exposed broodstocks. So these are all technical terms. But in terms of evolving, yes, ma'am, the shrimp industry has constantly been growing in last 10 years from hardly if I'm not wrong, before 2007, 2008, the industry was not having Venamai, but as Venamai, the exotic species, was introduced in our country, after that, as the demand from United States and China was very good. So this is where the entire shrimp industry developed, from hardly 60, 70,000 tons to a million ton today. So, which is a very strong growth. For example, 10 years back, let's say 2013, 14, hardly, I think, with 20,000 crore worth of exports. Now we are somewhere about 43,000 crores of exports. So, this is how the industry has doubled. And now, also, as I told you earlier, still the industry will keep on growing, because shrimp industry has that potential to make it happen, and there are many technological changes which are happening, not only in a decade, but every 3 4 years. Not only shrimp farming, but there are almost every industries where you look, there are many technological advancements. So all these things in together are going to always help the industry, always help the farmers to grow. So this is how the industry has evolved, ma'am. And more importantly, the industry has also, more importantly, the farmers of who are the most important part of the value chain. They have also realized, and they are also working very hard. Cumulatively, the entire industry is working very hard together to create a good sizable domestic market, because with that, even 25 to 30% of the domestic market, the farmers' stability and the self-reliance will be continued. And in India itself, it can create a new big opportunities for the aspiring individuals. So this is how the industry has been taking shape, ma'am, technically, because it's a very technical subject. So I apologize, but there are certain aspects of technicality which also needs to be discussed.
Okay. What are the major challenges shrimp farmers face in India?
In terms of challenges, ma'am, currently, if there are certain issues with supply and demand, because it's a market trend. It happens in every industry. So with the supply and demand, currently there is certain rise in the cost of production while the selling price is reduced. But it was an earlier context. Two years back, it was more tough on the farmers, but now things are getting stabilized. So this is only one of the aspects which I wanted to just share with the spectators, that supply and demand also plays a very important role. And besides that, yes, as I told you in this talk and I have mentioned earlier, there are certain diseases like bacterial diseases like vibriosis, then you have white spot disease, you have EHP. So you need to combat for all those diseases. And for that, you need good healthcare, good bioremediation. So because it hampers the growth of shrimps, or it makes it difficult for shrimps to have a good harvest and a good survival. So this is where there are certain problems which are pertaining in the industry. But definitely with the good products, all these problems are getting solved. But there is a huge scope and a huge scope of improvements in this landscape, which can not only happen with good healthcare, but can also happen with good brood stocks, good genetic lines, and also very good management practices, like how in the last 10 years, farmers have also evolved technically in the shrimp farming practices.
Okay. What role does technology play in enhancing shrimp production and sustainability?
Of course. So, ma'am, talking about how technology can play a role. See, for example, if you have a shrimp pond, earlier we used to have the extensive models, the traditional models, where it was very difficult to produce hardly 400 kgs approximately. But now, with the technologies, good proper pond designs, with the aerations, aeration means providing diffuse oxygen, dissolved oxygen to the shrimp ponds, to the shrimps, making oxygen available for them. So because of all that technological advancements, we have increased our per unit productivity, through which we call a semi-intensive or intensive systems prevalent in India. And also technology is also in the form of shrimp feed, because with good shrimp feeds and good genetic lines, the post larvae shrimp babies, we have been able to achieve bigger sizes of shrimp. So better the fast growing genetic line, better the nutrition. This is how you can grow bigger shrimps, and bigger the shrimps, there is higher selling price for the shrimps. So this is how technically the industry has evolved in terms of having very fair, good share of inputs which they are adding into their ponds. So this is more of the technology, ma'am. And technology is also in terms of the production systems. Now you also have recirculatory aquaculture systems. You have intensive, like the liner systems, not the earthen ponds. So you have, like, in liner ponds, you can also reach, 20 tons or even more than that, 20 tons per hectare productivity. So there are many different systems which are pertaining into the not only Indian but the Asian shrimp industry. You also have circular tank models. So all these different aspects have played a very vital role in changing the shape, or bringing a very good change among the individuals in the shrimp industry.
Okay. How is climate change impacting shrimp aquaculture in India?
Okay, and that's definitely a good question. Again, climate change is a global phenomenon, so definitely it's affecting agriculture, aquaculture both. In terms of shrimp, yes, especially the high temperature, the high summer temperatures can be very detrimental to the shrimp health, as there are certain issues like with the increasing temperature, the shrimp feed uptake will not be very optimal, because about 28 degrees Celsius to 33 degrees Celsius is good for Venamai shrimp. But if the water temperatures are rising above that, then you find shrimps health getting compromised, and in turn it can also impact their feeding behavior, can impact their growth. So yes, there are a lot of issues with summer, no doubt in that. And to combat that, definitely there are some management practices. Good amount of aerations need to be done into the pond to maintain proper dissolved oxygen and to break the thermocline layer. Because as you can see the background, those are the aerators, if you can see in my background. So that continuously circulates the water into the pond, maintain the dissolved oxygen into the system, and also breaks the thermocline layer. For example, if there is hot water and cold water, so with the aeration, the thermocline layer, it starts breaking. So it helps the farmers. And besides that, with good immunity boosters, you can also boost the immunity of the farmer, ponds for the shrimps. So there are different things and managemental level changes which needs to be done. But yes, to your question, definitely global warming has definitely impacted shrimp farming to certain extent, but it's not very detrimental. But as I told you, with the proper management practices, you can definitely take care of that. Whether be summer or even be extreme winter, you can take care of that.
Yeah. What government policies are in place to support the shrimp industry?
Yes, ma'am. As I told you earlier in my talk, that Department of Fisheries and these are the nodal agencies or the bodies that are governing the industry. So there are two main schemes. Number one is the FIDF scheme, which is Fisheries Infrastructure Development Fund, which you can have more information about it by simply just visiting the website. So its main core fundamental is to, in its own name, to provide the necessary infrastructure to promote and increase the shrimp production into the country by facilitating different technologies and inputs for the farmers. And then you have a promotional scheme of Pradhan Mantri Matsya Sampada Yojana, which also works on the same outlay. And their main motto is to double the production and double the exports and double the farmers' income. And for this, their outlay is 20,000 crores. So this is not only for shrimp, but in general, it is for an entire aquaculture industry. But I would suggest the spectators to follow Department of Fisheries on LinkedIn and even Marine Product Export Development Authority, because they continuously keep on updating the good work which the government is doing for the industry. Like Marine Export Development Authorities is also looking for new potential markets for shrimp exports. Government is trying their best to announce species diversification in aquaculture, also looking into nucleus breeding centers, which basically is making their own genetic bank for different fishes and species, fish species, and even shrimp species in the country. And you also have agencies like, for example, I am into brackish water aquaculture. So you have SIBA, Central Institute for Brackish Water Aquaculture, which trains the farmers and disseminates and provides the shrimp training and shrimp technologies to the farmers. So these are the general understanding, ma'am. But as I told you, you can get more and more informations about this, because government is also providing subsidies and schemes to the aspiring individuals. Uh, and I think easily for women entrepreneurs who are listening to me today, you are having much more better advantages and much more better schemes for which you can sustain and do your own business. And also you can also work on fisheries value chain. You can work on domestic market intervention, buying a cold storage, and many different things can be done.
Okay. How is India positioned compared to other shrimp exporting nations?
So as I told earlier that India is one of the largest exporters. So Ecuador and India together, they produce about close to 22 to 23 lakh tons of shrimp into the shrimp trade market. And yes, currently India stands second in the shrimp production landscape, and Ecuador is number one. But they too are continuously these two countries are continuously working and increasing their production. to cater to the markets. Largely, the markets are United States and China. So this is how this countries is working. And besides that, if you consider Asia in terms of exports, India is the biggest. So India is number one in Asia in terms of exports.
What are the emerging markets for Indian shrimp exports?
Well, emerging markets, as I told earlier, definitely there is also, because there was an advent of coronavirus and issues in the economy, inflation, and all those things. But now the market is stabilizing, so there has been a certain increase in demand. But yes, I feel that, I think if I'm not wrong, there are about 192 countries. And even if, let's say, even if there are 40, 50 nations who are consuming seafood, so we have a big opportunity to also cater few amounts or few 100 containers of shrimp to those countries as well. But in terms of emerging market, if you ask, ma'am, still our large fair share of market is United States. Then you have China, Europe, Japan, Middle East. So definitely with the rising economy, or let's say in the Gulf, the GCCs, the Gulf area. So definitely there can be, in future you can see good trade flow happening in those places. But there is also a good scope of growth in the value addition segment in India, which government is definitely looking into it and has provided necessary means for the processing companies to get benefits out of that and look into value addition. For by value addition, I mean breaded shrimps or marinated shrimps, all those things. So with value addition, you will have an increased share of revenue being earned through exports, and also a good fair share of opportunity of diversification. So yes, markets needs to be, if you want to double the production, yes, there needs to be also increase in the amount of market, which government is trying their best to make it happen. And secondly, also, I feel that emerging market should not be looked outside India, but as Indian population can consume 150 lakh tons of fish. So I think our own country itself is also a very big opportunity and emerging market, because our per capita GDP is increasing. Our the net earnings of the individuals are increasing since last 10 years. So I feel the and I also can see that if the population can consume fishes, and with the rising economy of our nation, definitely shrimps can also be introduced in our country.
Okay. How does industry ensure the quality and safety of shrimp products?
Oh, there are various aspects to that, ma'am. For example, Coastal Aquaculture Authority and MPDA, they regulate what kind of inputs are prevalent or being used and in shrimp farming. And then farmers ensures, and he works day and night to produce the premium quality shrimps. To your surprise, we and I myself can proudly tell that India produces the best premium quality shrimps. And for this, we farmers especially, they work day and night very hard. The industry provides the necessary inputs, which are being approved by Coastal Aquaculture Authority and regulated by them, and also MPDA. They do the necessary testing. They provide the necessary certificates to the processors who are procuring the material from the farmers. And this all in turn regulates and governs the exports. You can call them as a seafood import monitor, like under the norms of seafood import monitoring programs. So all these things, and more importantly, it's a cold value chain, a cold supply chain. So as soon as the shrimps gets harvested, for example, to make it more easy for the spectators, if this is, I have a shrimp pond. So from shrimp pond, when my shrimp gets harvested, my post-harvest handling should be very good, and largely the handlings are very good. And then the shrimps are kept into the chill crates or the chill big tubs, where the chill curing is done. And then when you do the chilling, after that, in the same temperature, the shrimp reaches to the nearby processing plant, and the cold value chain is a cold supply chain is maintained. And then in the processing plant, entire in the cold room, all the necessary packaging as per the import requirement is done. So this is how the shrimp purity and the shrimp freshness is absolutely maintained. And after that, for frozen shrimp, you have a process called IQF, which is individually quick frozen shrimps. So there is a layer, the top coating layer of glaze, which is done on the shrimp, which maintains the quality of the shrimps. And then are about -18-degree temperature, the frozen temperature, which I talk about, the shrimps are then exported into refrigerated containers to the export markets. So an entire value chain, the shrimp freshness is absolutely maintained.
Okay. What are the future growth prospects for the Indian shrimp industry?
In terms of future growth, ma'am, as I told, with the government support, we are definitely striving to grow in our current landscape. But also, government is strongly emphasizing on species diversification, focusing on indigenous species, and also industry is trying their best to look into the species like for example, Penis indicus. But all these things are into the pipelines, and I strongly feel that with good domestic markets do in the Indian landscape for shrimp species, there can be a good opportunity for species like Penis indicus as well, or maybe some market which are ready to accept Penis indicus. Still, there can be a fair share of Penis indicus exports from the country as well. But it entirely depends on the market, and on which the government and industry collaboratively together are working very hard. So, but forget about shrimp industry for a second. But there is also a focus on finfish aquaculture in India. So, to all the viewers here, I would like to tell you that one should also focus on brackish water finfish species. For example, sea bass, sea bream, pearl spot, groupers, and even yeah, pompano I have mentioned. Yes, yeah. So all of these species can also be an interest for the spectators here, because they can be a potential candidate for brackish water aquaculture. But you need to find, or you need to work on necessary technologies for making it success at farming level. Because once you make a success at farming level, farmer starts earning money. This is where the entire industry value chain will be developed parallelly.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Mayank, I think now I don't see any more questions. So now we have come to end of question round. On behalf of agricultureinformation.com, I like to thank you for the presentation and answering all the questions in depth. And I also like to thank my editorial team for sharing the questions. The meeting will now be closed.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope the talk was good. Thank you to all,
Yeah, yeah,
and take care. Have a good day.
yeah. Thank you.